think one of the most frustrating things in any video game or movie or whatever is when they imply or hint at something that's hidden off screen. At the very end of The Legend of Zelda: Adventure of Link, Zelda thanks Link for saving her, and then as the curtain drops, it looks like she leans in for a kiss. Well, let's see exactly what's going on in this scene. So in order to do that, we need to remove the layer that has the curtain. And when we do, we can actually see that Zelda is just giving Link a friend zone hug. No, but what's really going on here is that the Zelda sprite is just moved forward, and she's in the background layer, therefore it looks like she's just embracing Link. But there's still artifacts to suggest that this was not the intention. For example, this unique sprite of Link holding Zelda's hand remains unchanged even after the curtain drop. So what you're really looking at here is just Link with his hand out, and the Zelda sprite partially behind him. And you know what, since I've got your attention already and this isn't going to be a full boundary break episode, I might as well show you all the other interesting stuff that I found in Zelda 2 as well. For example, every single room that is in The Legend of Zelda: Adventure of Link is supposed to lead somewhere. Now if that side of the room is completely blocked off with wall, the end of the screen is still going to warp Link to some other coordinate. And most of the time if it's in a temple, it just happens to warp Link outside of it. This is likely to be a preventative measure in case the player ever for some reason was able to glitch through the walls. Another thing that I noticed is that when you encounter an enemy on the River Devil, you actually get access to an unused area that was exclusive to the Famicom disc version of the game. This happens to be the King's Tomb, which was replaced by a daylight version with an old lady. Also on the northeastern part of this continent, there's a bridge that leads from this area to the maze with the temple. But the bridge itself isn't actually connected. Instead, your character lands on a tile that warps you to a different map entirely. And if you were to try to walk the entire bridge without that warp, the bridge ends prematurely. In fact, on the eastern side of this bridge, if you walked all the way left, you'd end up seeing Death Mountain, which is pretty shocking to me. Also, exploring the overworld map can be pretty interesting. Unfortunately, going too far off the beaten path just starts to load in random environment pieces that's never always the same. But one particular cool thing is that when you get to the part of the game where you're supposed to use the raft to get to the other continent, you can see that the raft itself is actually supposed to load the area. Otherwise, you just keep walking indefinitely until you get to the glitchy areas. And also, I just want to know what would happen if Link engaged an enemy on a mountain, since that's a tile you can't normally walk on. And if you do, you end up in a graveyard area every single time, and when you leave that graveyard area, you end up in Zelda's chamber. Also, removing layers in Zelda 2 tends to make some really odd effects, and one of the things I noticed is that removing a top layer tends to reveal the next screen over. And if we do this in the very last room of the game, you can actually see that the final room has its own wall, as well as some additional space that the player's not allowed to see. And lastly, if we remove the top layer on the title screen, you can actually see that the title of the game is hiding underneath the environment for a good while before it starts rising up. And as it does rise up, there's actually some graphical artifacts that are just below it, but it's still hidden by the environment. Hey, thanks for watching. I know this isn't a traditional Boundary Break episode, but I do Boundary Break every single week, and it's just like this, whether it be for 3D games or 2D games. So if you're new to the channel, I definitely recommend checking out my playlist to see if one of your favorite games is on there and if this channel is right for you. But to everyone who's been subscribed to this channel, I hope you're excited for a new series that's going to be premiering this Friday. Fans of Boundary Break shouldn't be disappointed by this one. I tried to keep in mind of what you guys are here for, but just stay tuned Friday and decide for yourself. But alright guys, I'm going to take off. Hope you enjoyed this little mini episode. Bye.